Good morning, everybody. I'm Daniele Gizzi, and I'm going to introduce the final event of the project Eforeus. This project was started actually in December after the second pandemic breakout, and we decided to move all the activity virtually. This is the final event, and also it's Saturday today, so several participants maybe had problem to join the event. But by the way, we record the event, and then we'll upload the videos on our website and Facebook, so also the other participants or other partners can see it. Just let me introduce my presentation briefly. The presentation of Eforeus. Wait a second. Okay. Okay. You should now see. This is the today agenda. So the first brief session is related to the presentation of Eforeus main achievement, and then we proceed to better understand the situation of immigration and integration in Sicily, thanks to the speakers from Cives. Well, now I start my presentation. You should see it, I think. Okay, how you can see, this is the final event in Caltagirone, and this presentation is a sort of dive into the project, because I try to summarize all the activity that we have done during the project implementation, the results achieved, also some number related to the dissemination and communication activities. The idea of the project, we built the project trying to explain, try to involve citizens to promote another narrative, another point of view towards some aspect related to immigration and integration and the refugees. Another narrative, because how we know the mass media are full of fake news, are full of false information toward the immigrants. And in the European Union and Italy as well, there is a bad I won't say a bad behavior towards the immigration, but a wrong idea of what is the immigration, a wrong idea about who are the refugees, a wrong idea also about how manage this problem, because of course it is an issue that we have to face, that the European Union must face. So this was the project tried to underline and to catch the characteristic of each territory involved, and inviting the civil society, inviting the citizen representative, inviting the local authorities to tell us, to present their situation, to present what are the good practice, what are the activities that they have done in the territories to favor the solidarity, to favor the integration. Another point of view, what I would like to say, another point of view of how can be treated and how can be managed the immigration and the refugees issues. Before the COVID, the project scheduled 7 thematic events. You can say one in Malta, one in Caltagirone, one event in Belgium, and then all the part of the Balkan area, so North Macedonia, Serbia, Montenegro, and Greece as well. The main idea was to try, how you can see in the map, try to better understand, to analyze what the difficulties of the Mediterranean countries that most of the other are facing the refugees crisis, and then try to analyze the Balkan routes that we know very well from the mass media. This is one of the routes one of the many routes of illegal immigration from the East Europe, from Asia, from Middle East. So this was the original pre-COVID plan, and of course all the events were scheduled in presence physically. But what's happened? In March 2020, you can know the pandemic breakout. So we should reorganize all the project activity with a great effort, and great collaboration among the partners. We changed several partners also because some of them were affected by dramatically from the COVID from coronavirus. In fact, some of our participants lost also their staff in the pandemic. So with great collaboration, we reorganized all the project, and we decided to double the event scheduled. So you can see now, this is the full map of the events organized in the framework of A4EUS project. So we had 2 events in Spain, 3 events in Italy, in Rome, 2 events in Italy, in Rome, and today the last one, the final one. 2 events in Malta, 1 event in Greece, North Macedonia, 2 events in Albania, 1 in Montenegro, 1 in Serbia, 2 in Poland. So this is we doubled the event because we thought that the best way to promote and to achieve our objective was continue the narration, continue to talk about the issue, the topics of the project in as much as possible, and also thanks to the virtual event, this was realizable. So these are the general framework of the event organized. So you can see there is the date, there is all the aspect, all the information about the venue of the event, and here there is the link to the website where you can find all the documents, presentation, and videos produced in the framework of this event. Now, finally, we are in Caltagirone, the wonderful Caltagirone. I wish to come back one time in Caltagirone as soon as possible. And what we have done during in the framework of A4EUS project, not only events, we try to organize the interim activity among an event and the other one, among the events. We produce 12 videos, such as also a cultural visit to allow also the people to see what's happening in some specific country, or how they can some specific country managed some aspect related to refugees or immigrants. Then I'll show you also some videos. I hope that the connection will be stable, otherwise I can share with you the link. Then we prepared a survey translated in 9 languages, and we received a survey aimed to try to understand the public attitudes to immigration. So with a few questions to understand how is the feeling of the person toward the immigrants, the immigration. And we received more than 1,100 answers. So this was a really interesting result. What else? You can see this is the list, not exhaustive list of the virtual visits that we prepared in the framework of A4EUS. So the project, the videos we produced, and you can find this video in our website, or in the project website, but also in the YouTube channels, on Facebook, on Instagram. So I invite you to to check and see it, because especially we prepare with the colleague in Montenegro documentary, really interesting, very well elaborated, that documentary in Montenegro, a refugee story. You can see that, and I really invite you to enjoy these products. This is a general overview about the survey, the public survey, and there is some insights, some numbers. We have at the moment 413 followers on Facebook, and our post had a total coverage of more than 125,000 users. In Instagram, we have a total coverage approximately from 2,500 to 3,000 users per month, and our videos on YouTube reached more than 16,000 people, and the number is growing this morning in this day. So we are really happy. I invite you to share, to see also our content. Website, less than 1,000 single user, but you have to take in consideration that all these numbers are calculated from January, when actually the first event was in December 2020. But so we have just in 6 months of the project, we organized 14 events in less than 6 months, and this is a great result, a great achievement, I think. Also a great achievement, or a great result that we had, we was able to achieve thanks the collaboration of all the partners of the project or E4Eus, that I want really thank you for their patience, for their collaboration, their willingness, and their volunteer to work with us to conclude out this project. So this is my very short presentation, because I think that is interesting, more interesting now. Listen what the participant, the invited speakers have to say us. So I'll give the words to the first panelist, Leandro Parla from Cives. I made you presenter, so you are able to, I don't know if you have to share your, if you have a presentation. If you want, you can just share with the button at the bottom. Leonardo.
Okay, no, I don't have any presentation.
Okay.
Can you hear me?
Mm-hmm.
So, if I may.
We can hear you.
Okay, so I'm starting. Okay. So good morning everybody. And today I would like to speak about a road that I've traveled innumerable times during my university years, the state road, Strada Statale 417 Catania-Gela. This road connects many Sicilian towns on its path, and for this reason it suffers from heavy traffic because it is traveled by at least 6,000 vehicles all days, which can top up to 8,000 in specific periods like summer or Christmas. This road crosses a territory called Piana di Catania, which I would say is world famous for its cultivation of great quality oranges, lemons, olives, and many other things. Despite the excellence of its agricultural products and a flourishing food industry, Sicily is not able to provide most of its inhabitants with decent jobs, which results in one of the highest unemployment rates of all Italy. But there are certain periods of the year when the labor market in Sicily offers hundreds of jobs, which is the harvesting periods. It's a heavy job that Sicilians tend to avoid if, of course, they have a better option. But there are people in Sicily that do not have a better option, and these people are often migrants. And as they have no option, no alternative, they are also easily exploitable. A thing that the vast majority of people easily forgets is that field workers are often neglected, underpaid, exploited migrants. Agriculture is the industry with one of the highest rates of black work, and the consequence of that is that many migrants are forced to accept illegal work conditions. And this happens because maybe their refugee status do not allow them to work legally in Italy, or maybe they simply do not know the rights, they do not know the rules. In the past 20 to 30 years, the vast majority of migrants working in our fields were coming from Eastern Europe countries, like for example Romania. But most recently, the so-called migrants emergency has brought in the Italian territory thousands of migrants from Central and North Africa, raising the number of people in desperate need of a job and without alternatives, then working in the fields. Of course, the ruthless employers of the Piana di Catania saluted this emergency as a great opportunity to cut the cost of labor and increase profits. In the middle of Piana di Catania, right in the middle of Catania Gela, in the territory of Mineo, it is located the CARA, Centro Accoglienza Richiedenti Asilo, the biggest refugee center of all Europe. For those of you who don't know, the CARA is a village initially conceived to host the military and their families from the American base of Sigonella. You can picture it as a wonderful and peaceful residential neighborhood of a big United States city, excepting it is located in the middle of nowhere, where temperatures get as high as 40 degrees in summer, as we are experiencing also today, and the nearest big city is Catania, which is more than 30 kilometers far, with no decent public transport connection. The only good thing, ironically, is that it is very close to the orange fields. During the years when CARA was fully operational, because it is now closed, hundreds of migrants traveled Catania Gela with their bicycles, often overloaded with all kinds of goods, putting their life at risk in a road where cars travel high speed, and there are also trucks, buses, tractors. The migrants on bicycles traveled at any hour, nights included, with, you can imagine, no lights or no high visibility wear whatsoever, to reach the cities nearby, or to reach the fields and work for 10 hours or even more under the heavy sun, being paid 20 euros per day or even less, which means 2 euros per hour or even less. This is the reality that every person that has ever traveled Catania Gela has seen, has crossed their path with, almost without being aware. Legally speaking, it is relatively easy for employers to employ workers without any contract. It is sufficient to employ few people with a legally valid contract with a certain amount of minimum hours, which are never respected, in order to be fully compliant with the laws. This is called grey jobs, which is a way of hiding the much bigger black jobs. Now one may ask, but where are the job inspectors? Unions that also fight for the rights of these migrants claim that there are only 10 job inspectors covering the whole province of Catania. This well-organized illegal system proliferates in the absolute absence of the state. But this is only half of the story that I'd like to tell you today. The other half is about prostitution. The title of my speech today is The 70 Kilometers Where the State Abdicated Its Power. Because in these 60 kilometers where black work is allowed, heavy loaded bicycles travel night and day, and cars constantly travel over the speed limits, I have also counted 9 prostitutes in 70 kilometers, a side of the street perfectly visible. And we are talking of the same road where, when CARA was open, police and carabinieri were constantly patrolling the area with their cars, but this still happens today. And there were soldiers at the gates of CARA. And on the same road, it is also located the US military base of Sigonella. But at the same time, in the same area, migrants women are sexually exploited and migrants men are exploited in the fields nearby. It is hard to believe that an exploitation of this extent has no organization on top of it. What seems obvious to me is that there are interlinked interests of more than one criminal organization in the 70 kilometers of Caltagirone. And what surprises me is that these criminal organizations seem to collaborate very well. I have just said that I once counted 9 prostitutes in 70 kilometers, but this is not outrageous itself. Prostitution in Italy is legal. Prostitutes can freely meet their clients and also pay taxes. What is illegal is the exploitation of prostitution. That is, when someone provides clients to prostitutes, share profits with them, and control their movements. So the prostitutes on Caltagirone would not be a problem if they were doing it on a free choice. But what we know is that these girls are forced to sell their bodies. They are victims of human trafficking. Their families paid a lot of money to make them come to Europe, and now they have to repay the debt. The criminal organizations managing this human trafficking are in contact with their families in their home country, and the girls are told that if they don't behave, their families at home could be harmed. My point is that all the things I said, the black work in the fields, the prostitution, all happen under our eyes, under our noses. We are witnesses of illegal activities every day, and we just pass by. We do not put too much attention of what is going on around us. As Sherlock Holmes would say, we see, but we do not observe. This is what happens in just 70 kilometers under our noses. Now, I'm aware that this also happens in many other places in Sicily and the rest of Italy and maybe the rest of Europe. But what has always caught my attention is the concentration of so many facts, so many phenomena, so much misery, the massive presence of the state, but at the same time, its substantial guilty absence, and the presence of illegal activities, and the military, and the thousands of people traveling the road every day, all things happening in such a short distance with so many unaware spectators. But not everything is lost. There are unions, as I mentioned before, who are fighting black work. And there are also other organizations born with the specific purpose of liberating the girls from the prostitution chains. And it's thanks to their job, thanks to journalists, thanks to the judiciary system, if we know what is happening around us. We just have to know where to look. And then we have to spread the word and raise awareness on these topics. I'm ending my speech here. I hope that I made my points clear to you, and I thank the organizers for the opportunity to speak today. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your presentation. Then if you have any question, you can write directly in chat or intervene. Thank you. I give now the floor to the second speaker, Samuele Boscarello. Samuel, I think that he has a connection problems. Maybe we can, no, sorry. The second speaker is Luca. I give you the floor, Luca. I'm sorry.
Okay. No problem. Thank you, Daniele, and thank everyone for your attention. Well, the title of my speech is Caltagirone and Immigration Diversity is Wealth. I'd like to start with it because I really like this expression, diversity is wealth. I think that it describes very well the Sicilian society, even if Sicilians are maybe not aware of that. If we think about the history of this region, it's very difficult to draw a picture of an autochthonous. It's difficult because we always been conquered by different peoples. We were first Sicani, then Greeks, then Romans, then Normans, Arabs, Aragoneses, and at the very end, we became Italians, just less than 2 centuries ago. Because of that, we are a true melting pot that encloses very many different cultures. We can steal the sign of this in Sicily. For example, my surname is Germana because the ancestors of my family were German. The name of my city is Caltagirone because during our Muslim period, it was called Caltagirone, Castle of Ceramic. So if we think about the centuries past, immigration was a distinctive feature of this region. Not only immigration, but also emigration. A lot of families during past centuries left Sicily, and a lot of people is still doing it. So migration is not something new for our people. I could say that it's in our bones, in our nature, to move in another country and to welcome people who come from other countries. Every people that has come to Sicily brought something new. The art of ceramic in Caltagirone is so rare and unique because it's a combination of Greek and Arab manufacturers. I made an example for Caltagirone, but almost every corner in Sicily could say the same. At this point, the question is, if migration is in the bones of this region, why today the Sicilian people is so hostile about immigration? In the last few years, we had a lot of experiences of discrimination, violence, and hate. Of course, I think that there is a political responsibility in that. The government in the past years was not able to handle the immigration phenomenon in the correct way. They created ghetto cities and structure where it was impossible for these people to get a real integration. Leandro talked about Cara, that was an example. On the other side, political parties of far right rode the wave and contributed to create an atmosphere of fear and disdain. But we can't say that it's all political fault. From century, Sicily is a land of large landowners, and it's still true. We had the scaring growth of the phenomenon called caporalato, which means that those migrants became something really close to slaves. Men became agricultural serfs, and women became prostitutes, as Leandro said. So, like almost everything that is wrong in this world, it's all about money. When someone is poor and can't fight for a better position, he can't integrate himself in a society. Then he becomes an enemy for that society. That is exactly what is happening in Sicily. Migrants became enemies. They are seen as criminals. They are seen as the ones who are stealing jobs. They are seen as people who do not want to respect our traditions. And the problem is that it's a vicious whirlpool. Less integrations means more migrants in the hand of criminality. More crimes committed by migrants means that integration becomes more difficult, and so on. So how do we stop the wheel? I think that Samuel will give us some answer about that in practical ways, but there is a cultural process that must be started and guided by social and political actors. It's a shared responsibility. It's a responsibility for local and central governments, but also responsibility of each one of us who has a role in making the difference. I like also to talk about something different, some positive example, even here in Caltagirone. Caltagirone, for those who don't know that, is known all around the world for the ceramic art. In the craft sector, the workshop today are missing new apprentices, and that's a real problem for us. the son of a ceramist today prefers to study, work, and live outside of Sicily or even outside of Italy. And in most of cases, they don't come back. So we are really risking to lose our art tradition. But thanks to the spirit of integration and resilience of our people, some of those artists decided to take with them as apprentices some migrants. I personally know a guy who made it to travel all through Africa. He came from Gambia. He crossed the Mediterranean Sea and he arrived after really bad experiences here in Caltagirone. And what happened here? A ceramics master took him as apprentice. He's teaching him the job. He gave him a salary. And now this guy can start a new life, integrated in our community. We have a double advantage in that. That's where the wealth comes from. We can ensure that our art, the tradition of Caltagirone carries on. And in the other side, we can integrate a person in our society. So, in conclusion, that is what I mean by the expression diversity is wealth. The contamination of cultures, if guided by far-sighted policies and a true spirit of integration, can create wealth and ensure a better future for Sicily, and most important, a better future for those who are seeking for a better life. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Luca. I give now the floor to Samuel. I don't know if he's able to. Probably.
Yes, I'm here. Good morning.
Good morning.
Can you hear me?
Maybe you can. Okay, go, please.
It's okay? Well, thank you very much. We must admit that in the last years, those political forces who profess the opposition to the welcoming and integration policies had a much easier game than those who promote progressive policies in front of the public opinion. And this is for two reasons, I think, essentially. The first is that effectively, the integration process, it's difficult in itself. It calls us, everybody of us, and calling in question our culture, confronting with other cultures, which is a very hard process. And so it is much easier to believe that it is impossible, it doesn't work to do it. The other problem is that effectively, in the last years, in the Italian welcoming system, there have been infiltrations of organized crime. There have been scandals. One scandal above all, Mafia Capitale. And this has plagued our system. And so we have to say, and this is my aim here, that welcoming policies and welcoming system, it's not just Mafia Capitale. Welcoming policies are much more than this, and there have been in these years a lot of actors which day after day have been keeping on offering high quality standards and best practices about welcoming policies. They are mainly non-profit actors such as cooperatives, associations, social enterprises, and they have been fighting day after day against the infiltration of businessmen and speculators in the welcoming system. I'll offer an example. A couple of years ago, as I think in 2019, have been signed a document between the Alliance of Italian Cooperatives, the National Association of Italian Municipalities, and the Minister of the Interior. Its name is the Charter of Good Welcoming, and it is a document that sets a minimum standard that each welcoming facility should follow. Well, I think that it is a very intelligent thing because I strongly believe that the most important instrument we have, the most important way we have to defeat the infiltration of speculators in the welcoming system is pushing them out of the market, pushing them out of the business. I'll explain that better. If I want to realize an extra profit over an activity of welcoming, I have all the advantage in offering very low quality service, and it is what's happened, because with lower costs there is a markup, a higher markup for my profit. Well, imagine that each welcoming facility with the adequate controls are mandatorily obliged to offer some core services which are high standard services. The Charter of Good Welcoming proposed this, that each facility in the Italian territory offers the presence of cultural mediators, at least 10 hours per week of Italian lessons with qualified teachers, 3 meals per day, the availability of seasonal clothes and kits for personal hygiene, the availability of legal protection such as lawyers for the immigrants, and finally, professional trainings or stages for at least 20% of the immigrants hosted in the structure. Well, now there is another issue, the issue relating to the fact that if we want to offer an welcoming services which are individualized, which are focused on the individual needs of each migrant, each facility should not assist a huge number of refugees. So Leandro talked to us about the model of Cara di Mineo, which is a complete failure. It has been a complete failure, and now it is closed, and it is right, I think, because we cannot believe that we can concentrate thousands and thousands of refugees in a village, put literally in the middle of nothing, and hoping that everything will be okay. It's not okay. Fortunately, in Italy, we still have a diffused welcoming system, and we have to promote it, valorize it. I know that there is another issue related to funding of the services, because these services I listed are expensive services, and a little facility may face several problems, financial problems about funding them. I think that the best solution we can find is providing these services, the most part of these services, jointly. And in this game, the local municipalities play the role of playmakers, because they have the task of coordinating all the actors that in the territory offers welcoming services, and connect them with other public institutions. I'll make some practical example. The Italian lessons can be provided by public schools. Even in Caltagirone, in the last years, I remember there have been some interesting projects about this. I don't know, I have not the information in my possession to say if they are still active, but they should become the mainstream. They cannot be just isolated cases. Or another question, the canteen services. There should be just one enterprise preparing meals for all the welcoming facilities in the territory, just to profit of scale economies, with a specific public contract individuated regularly after a public bid with some criteria. For example, the relationship between quality and price, and the attention of each enterprises will participate in the bid for the dietary needs of migrants, even in cultural terms. So there are a lot of things we could make between, thanks to cooperation and coordination between public, private, and third sector. I know that maybe the most difficult issue, the most problematic issue can be those relating in providing a job to migrants, especially in an economically backward territory like Sicily, southern Italy, one of the most problematic territories from a socioeconomic point of view in all Europe. In fact, as Leandro showed us, there is a high risk that the immigrants are captured into the spirals of illegal economy. Fortunately, we have some tools we can use to fight this, especially in the agricultural sector, which is very problematic. Some years ago, the Italian government passed the so-called Martina Law against the exploitation of agricultural workers, the so-called caporalato. And the Martina Law urges municipalities in becoming intermediators between the demand and the supply of agricultural workforce. And I think yes, unfortunately, a wider part of Italian municipalities have not accomplished this task yet. There have been a pilot project a couple of years ago in Campobello di Mazzara here in Sicily, but I don't know if it's still active. However, also in this case, this should become the mainstream, and it is an initiative that a local municipality can autonomously um, um, bring further. For example, here in our territory, we have the former facilities of Cara di Mineo, which are still empty, and it is a waste. No one knows exactly how to do with the village of Cara di Mineo. Where my proposal is, let's make it a big public collocation center for the seasonal workforce. It has also the housing facilities, so it can provide a solution, a practical solution for one of the most important issues relating to migrant seasonal workers in the agriculture sector, especially the precarious state of their housing condition. So let's invest in it. Someone can object to this reasoning by saying that, in a poor economic context like the Sicilian one or the southern Italian one, providing a fair economic treatment of the workforce could be too much expensive for the enterprises. Well, but I replicate by saying that this is exactly the point. The struggle against the exploitation of agricultural immigrant workers is, first of all, also the struggle against the exploitation of all the workers. But it is also maybe the ultimate chance to provide innovation for all agricultural sector. In fact, our rural economy must become a social economy or it won't resist at all. I'll make some practical example of best practices produced in southern Italy about this. Some time ago has been opened an enterprise, a new enterprise, very innovative social enterprise in Foggia, province of Foggia, which is a very problematic territory. This enterprise is called WhatsApp, which is very funny because it is a crossover between WhatsApp and the dialectal expression for go to dig the land. Well, WhatsApp WhatsApp, not WhatsApp. WhatsApp has offers an interesting service. It connects the local agricultural producers with the tourist sector. It promotes the local productions, but it is a social enterprise. It has a strong social commitment, so it selects the agricultural producers on the basis of social and environmental responsibility. Thus, the presence of such actors of the social private non-profit actors creates automatically a prize for those agricultural producers which are able of become sustainable, become socially responsible, and innovate themselves. The presence of such enterprises in the territory is very crucial, and we have to absolutely promote it. Well, there are a lot of other issues about the question to be deepened. Unfortunately, there is not enough time to talk about each of them. For example, I have a clue that in the schooling sector, there is a very high schooling dispersion among the sons of immigrants. It is 3 times higher than the sons of Italian natives. It is another problem to be faced in the second stage of integration process. But I wanted to focus on the first and on some aspects on the very early stages of the welcoming and integration process, because I want to deliver this message. After the scandals that have plagued the welcoming system in Italy, there have been some political forces and a wide part of the public opinion which has been saying things such, well, we have to struggle to fight the speculators of the welcoming business, so the states must not invest on the welcoming system. Well, unfortunately, it is exactly the opposite. This is the best assist the state can make to the businessmen to make them keeping on running their own dirty business, because uh, we cannot face this problem if we have a public authority which has not a clue of what a public policy, a best practice is in public policy relating to welcoming system. At the opposite, if we really want to defeat the speculators and the businessmen and the organized crime as well that infiltrates our welcoming system, we have to firmly require a very high standard from welcoming policies. We have to invest on it, invest economically, and invest in terms of best practices, where the local authorities, the municipalities, has a pivotal role in it, because usually best practice does not descend from above, but rise from below. So let's make it. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you very much indeed, Samuel, for your passion and for your presentation as well. I have a question to all of you. Maybe you can reply in a short answer of 2-3 minutes for each. Well, this is a project. Is a project that try also to collect some hints, some feedback, some suggestions that we should be able then to communicate to a European institution during our meeting, during other project events, etc. You are active citizens. You are very committed also in your territories. So if you could express a message of a message to European Union, to European Commission, to the policymakers at European levels about how manage what is what should be the first step of the European Union to better face the refugees or immigrants. We know very well that are two different things, but crisis. Well, what was the first step that you can suggest? You can also articulate the answers. You don't need just to say 2 words. Samuel, can you, if you want, please? Okay.
Can I begin? Well, I think that an essential point of the question, usually there is not enough focus on it, is that European Union should assist local authorities also on the point of view of the human resources, the availability of human resources to organize the welcoming system, because it is a great challenge, and usually, especially in territories such Sicily, the local authorities does not have the financial resources to organize well the system, but neither the human resources, the know-how. So European Union should provide effectively this know-how to do that by sending personnel to for the training of the local employees, for example. We have to spread the idea that it is not enough that the public authority make the guardian of the system and the private can do what it wants because it is the private. Nowadays, it is not a question of a choice. It is an obligation that the public, private sector collaborate together for the social issues. There is a call of responsibility for the private enterprises, and I think that on this point of view, the European Union is still doing a good job. For example, there have been the social economy summit in Mannheim recently. The European Commission is spending a lot of resources about this, but we should articulate a better effort in making the public local authorities in all Europe collaborating for the private economy to bring together the social issues, because it is not enough that like in 20th century there is the welfare state that cures the damages of the wasting provided by the economy. It is not sufficient. The European Union should be nearer to these small municipalities, small actors that are located in the very places of the emergence.
Thank you. Maybe Luca and Leandro.
Okay, I go. Well, Samuel anticipated my answer, because I like to say to the European Commission that directives and money are not enough. We need to not be left alone in terms of human resources. It's hard to admit, but it's not rare that local government and the third sector yield the control of the process, the phenomenon, to criminality. We had an example in a city, Mineo, that is close to Cara, the immigration center, where it was proved that a lot of people sold their democratic vote to get a job in this immigration center. So my answer is very near to the Samuel answers. We need a strong public authority to control and guide those processes.
Yeah, I agree, Luca. Leandro?
Yes. In my opinion, to fight this immigration hate and to ensure that migrants are welcomed in a good way, in the best way, we need the state, as I said in my intervention, in my speech, the state to step up, to retake control of some territories. Because as it happened during when Cara was opened, this was not the case. And we have experienced, I think everybody that has ever traveled Caltagirone has experienced also some protests by migrants and some street blocks. And do you think that these street blocks by migrants stopped the hate of people towards migrants? No, it's exactly the opposite. And of course, the far right exploited these events to raise the hate against migrants. So the state must regain its power on these territories. Also, Samuel talked about Foggia, which is another place with some difficulties regarding migrants and agriculture. And we cannot just wait for people to simply stop hating immigrants. The state must step up, and that's what was what I wanted to say in my speech. Without the state, if we leave space, if we leave room for criminal organizations, the criminal organization will take that room, and we will lose those territories.
Thank you, Leandro. I totally agree with you. Also, you quoted Foggia, and of course, you know very well your local situation. But I can add also that for one in Campania region, close on the north of Naples, for one Castel Volturno municipality, where there are more than 15,000 ghost immigrants that are not registered, are not monitored, are not nothing, are just ghosts that live in a territories where appears that the state is completely absent, and of course then they go these people in this territory, but wherever happens this phenomenon are engaged by the organization criminal from the criminal organization. So this is really, I think, one of the worst, the biggest challenge that the state, the Italian state, supported also by the European Union, should face. So save the refugees, save the immigrants from the catch of the organization, the criminal organization, from the crime, because I think that also the illegal flux in the Mediterranean often how instead some political parties say no, that are because there are the NGO that rescue the immigrants, so they arrived. I think that also several information received that the register where in Libya, where the immigrants were registered, were enrolled, were in Italian languages, and I think that the criminal organization manage also the flux, I think, you know, from Libya and Italy. So I think the organized crime is the first problem that the Italian state and also European Union have to face to really start to integrate the refugees to the immigrants in the territory. Otherwise, there will be always ghosts exploited by them, becoming sealer, dealer, drugs dealer, or, you know, we know, all of us, we know very well. So this is the, I think, is the first, the really, I completely agree with you on this position. I don't know if you have any doubts, since otherwise we are going to close our event. Just a few remarks. First of all, thank you very much indeed for your participation and your really interesting introduction and speeches. This is the last event of the project, but our commitment in the framework of European direct funds projects as Focus Europe continue. We are working on the next program 2021 to 2027 for the Europe for Citizens project, and also in the framework of the SERV, a new program created to promote the European Union values, to fight the stigmatization on immigrants and all the other forms of intolerance. So as Focus Europe, the coordinator of project of Eforeus, we are very committed in working in this area, in this field. And this is an invitation to all of you, to all the international participants attending today, that are few than the other events, even because it's Saturday, we can understand them, but it's fine. That's fine. We continue to work on the Euro for Citizens funds, and we wish to be able to collaborate in future each other again in the framework of this project. Also, this is an invitation to the international speakers, but also an invitation to you to Chives. And well, I don't have anything else to add. Thank you very much, really indeed, for your participation, and hope to see you soon physically and not without a screen. Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Thank you all. Thank you all.
Thank you very much. Thank you.